Good evening, everyone. Welcome to an exciting webinar that I'm looking so forward to leading on youth workforce development in Newark. Please come in. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. We are just making sure that everybody is good. Thank you all so much for joining us. All right, let's get started. So welcome to Self-Determined, Community-Rooted, Career-Bound, the power and promise of youth workforce development in Newark, the first of what I hope are many public conversations about the need to elevate and support the youth workforce development movement in Newark, New Jersey. My name is Kaleena Berryman. I serve as Executive Director of Newark Youth Career Pathways, housed within the Newark Alliance, and today, I am joined by 7 dynamic youth workforce development leaders who I admire, who are working to create career and talent pathways that spark students' interests, meet the needs of employers, and produce outcomes rooted in post-secondary education, career, and life success. So I look forward to introducing them all to you today. First, we have Kimberly Brown. Kimberly is the Director of Operations and Strategic Partnerships at Newark Youth Career Pathways. NYCP is a collaborative organization working with schools and community partners to provide targeted support, skill development, and job experience to over 500 youth in Newark and Essex County, thereby fostering long-term success and economic mobility. Kimberly is committed to ensuring students have access to all of the opportunity that their city and the world has to offer. Welcome, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us. Samantha Crockett, who is a little bit late, but she'll be here soon, is the Executive Director of Brave New Jersey, a national nonprofit that empowers underrepresented college students with the skills, networks, and experiences needed to land strong first jobs. With a background in education and leadership, Samantha supports Newark students in bridging the college to career gap. Then we have Shadae McDaniel, Senior Vice President of the All Stars Project, Inc., and Executive Director of All Stars Project New Jersey, an innovative nonprofit that uses performance and development to engage young people from underserved communities. She is deeply committed to unlocking the potential of Newark's youth through leadership development, cultural enrichment, and partnerships with the private sector. Welcome, Shadae. Dr. Cathleen DelaPaz, Director of Career and Technical Education Academies at Essex County Schools of Technology, where she is focused on delivering high-quality career and technical education. Her work ensures that students across the county graduate with industry-relevant skills and a clear pathway to college and career success. Asia Hemingway, Director of Youth Services at the Newark Youth One-Stop Career Center, where she connects youth to job training, employment opportunities, and career services. Her work is essential to supporting young people ages 16 to 24 as they navigate the workforce and gain access to sustainable employment. Jennifer Made, Director of the Abbott Leadership Institute Youth Media Symposium's 21st Century Pathway Success Centers at 5 high schools throughout Newark and Essex County. Through her role at Newark Youth Career Pathways, the centers are open daily after school at each site and directly support students in developing career readiness and their post-secondary planning, ensuring they have the tools, guidance, and resources to succeed in college and beyond. Welcome, Jennifer. And Seyman Na, Executive Director of Gateway U, a nonprofit that provides affordable, flexible pathways to college and career for Newark students. With a strong commitment to equity and student success, Seyman helps young adults earn degrees and credentials aligned with workforce needs. Now, all of these organizations and these amazing leaders, their work is especially important in Newark. Newark is home to approximately 40,760 young people ages 16 to 24, a vibrant, talented generation whose futures depend on equitable access to opportunity, guidance, and meaningful work. Around 7,500 of our youth, approximately 18.4%, are considered disconnected, meaning they are neither in school nor employed. This disconnection rate is significantly higher than both the national average of 10.9% and New Jersey's state average of 9.4%. These statistics underscore the critical need for robust youth workforce development initiatives in Newark. Now, Newark is also home to over 22,000 businesses encompassing a diverse array of corporations, small enterprises, and nonprofit organizations. What we need now more than ever is citywide stakeholder collaboration organized around the mission to invest in local talent. All right. And I think all of my panelists will agree that that is what we need at this time in the city of Newark. Everyone, businesses, organizations, political leaders, educators, working together to make sure that our young people who are going to become the residents and citizens of Newark, that they are able to take advantage of all the opportunity that exists here. All right, so this panel is going to work in two ways. We are going to have a panel to discuss high school and then to discuss post-secondary. And so we're going to ask that Shadae, Dr. DelaPaz, Jennifer, and Kimberly and Aisha remain with us. And Seima, we will bring you back with Samantha to talk about post-secondary supports. All right, we'll see you soon, Seima. Thank you. All right. So, and please, we ask all of our attendees, we're so glad that you're here with us. Please make sure to put your questions in the chat and we will get to them as soon as we can. Okay. And Aisha, welcome. We see that you're traveling. If you're driving, we're going to ask you to be camera off. And hopefully you're able to join us soon. All right. Okay. All right. So, first question. And it's to everyone. I kind of gave a glimpse into your organizations, but please tell us more about the work that you all do with young people in the city of Newark. And I'm going to start with Shadae McDaniel.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to be here with all of you, and especially many of you that I've either worked with before or have also admired, and like Kaleena said. But yeah, I'm Shadae McDaniel. I'm the Senior Vice President over at the All Stars Project, and I also run the All Stars Project of the one in New Jersey, in Newark. And what I would say about the All Stars that wasn't already mentioned, really at the base of it, it's all about bringing unlikely partners together to transform relationships and culture. It is all about using the transformational power of performance to support young people's growth and development. And we do it in a way that allows young people, not only in New Jersey, but nationally, to have free out of school programming that focuses on their development through the power of performance. And All Stars has been around since 1999, and we've reached well over 35,000 young people in all
Wow.
programs. So our core programs is Development School for Youth, the All Stars Talent Show Network, Operation Conversation Cops and Kids, and development coaching.
Awesome. 35,000 young people. Is that nationwide or in New Jersey?
That's just in New Jersey for
Wow.
25
Awesome.
years. And that's East Orange,
25 years.
Jersey City, and Newark, and Irvington, and some of the oranges. So we've been
That's fantastic. Very, very awesome. Thank you, Shadae. Dr. DelaPaz, Kathleen, tell us more about Essex County Schools of Technology.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Kaleena, for having me tonight. So the Essex County Schools of Technology is a campus of 3 schools. Two are located in Newark, New Jersey, one in West Caldwell Tech. I've actually been a part of the Essex Tech family it'll be 20 years come this September. I know. I started out as a language arts English instructor at North 13th Street. Shout out to the former Cougars. And I've been in administration for about 10 years now. So this journey has been one of passion and growth. We are committed to preparing students for post-secondary success while they're with us. I'm the proud director of our Career and Technical Education Academy program. So each of our students, we have about 2,200 students in our 3 campuses. They apply to us and they choose essentially their career major. So in lieu of electives, our students are focusing from the time that they're freshmen on this chosen CTE major. So we have everything from business, engineering, and robotics to a very popular Health Career Academy program at Newark Tech. So in all of our programs, including construction trades, law and public safety, we provide opportunities for our students. Our number one goal is to, ensure that they're prepared for success after they leave us. And by doing so, we provide them with opportunities to earn college credits. So in the majority of our CTE programs, and my personal goal is, within the next year or two, that every single one of our CTE programs will allow students the opportunity to earn college credits. Some of our programs actually allow students to earn an associate's degree while they're with us. And we find for our students that this, puts them in a prime position for post-secondary success. If they're able to earn college credits while they're with us, as well as industry valued credentials. And the most important part is, with our partnership with NYCP, the partnerships provide opportunities for students to be linked to mentors in the community, to be counseled by them, to be prepared by them, and to be linked with important jobs in the community. So it is a very special privilege that I have to work with individuals like Kaleena and Kimberly and Jennifer to ensure that we have the technical academic skill attainment within our CTE programs, but we're rounding that out with the mentorship component and the actual career development component on site through leaders such as the people on our webinar tonight. So we're proud of that, and I'm proud to work with a very committed group of leaders such as Mr. Dolan, Ms. Maccabee, who was the one who linked us up to NYCP a number of years ago, and to see this grow into a beautiful program where we're getting federal recognition and grant funds to run these programs as a national model is just very exciting, and I'm excited to share that with you all tonight.
Yes, and that's the power of us talking, us talking, get to know each other and getting to know what we all offer so that we can double back and develop stronger relationships. So thank you, Kathleen. Jennifer, tell us about the 21st Century Pathway Success Centers modeled after the Abbott Leadership Institute College Success Centers.
Yes, so hi everyone. My name is Jennifer Made, and I am actually the Director of Youth Programs at the Abbott Leadership Institute and the 21C Pathway Success Centers at NYCP. And so the College Success Center actually are celebrating 10 years of service. And the model that the Pathway Success Center follow provide individualized support to students and families seeking access to any post-secondary opportunity. We assist with every step of the college and career application process, including FAFSA, financial aid completion, scholarship guidance, tutoring, college tours, and so much more. The model is of support and the model is a support and foundation of the Abbott Leadership Institute's College Success Center, and they are located at the NYCP schools, where they are maintained the focus of college and career readiness through the 21C grant.
Yes, and NYCP schools, Kimberly will give us the rundown on that list, but thank you, Jennifer. Been a couple of months since the 21st Century Centers have opened. It has been a journey, and we're hoping that Trump puts funding back for 21C so that we can continue the great work that we've started. So thank you, Jennifer. And Kimberly, tell us more about Newark Youth Career Pathways.
Hello, everyone. So NYCP brings these services directly to our youth. So NYCP is currently in 5 schools, traditionally in 6 schools. We serve students in Newark Tech, and Donald Payne Tech, West Caldwell Tech, University High School, and Eagle Academy right now. We have roughly 500 plus students in our programs. That's a mixture of our daytime services where we're bringing in partners, and also our after school sites, which are run by Jennifer Made and the 21C team. What we do is create this ecosystem of all of these dynamic partners that can come in and really help our students develop their academic skills, interpersonal skills, college and career readiness. And we're also bringing the students outside of the building and trying to get them workplace opportunities in the summertime, but then also a lot of trips so that they can actually see work sites and see some professionals in action, right? So a lot of students have ideas about what they want to do, but they don't actually have people in their lives that can help guide them. So we also bring in the mentors. A lot of them are students that served in all of our pre-college programs in the past. And so they're alumni from us. So they really are able to speak to the mission, and they help guide the students. And our main goal is to make sure that all of our high school students are graduating with a plan for the future. So they all are creating their post-secondary plans. They have a booklet that really guides them on whatever their journey is.
Thank you, Kimberly. And so we're going to get into the more direct questions. I invite all of our attendees, if you have a question, to use the question and a answer button, the Q&A button. It's the easiest way for me to see your questions, but if you can't find it, you can use the chat. It's all good. I will figure it out. All right, so let's get started. So, Shadae, participants in All Stars Project programs demonstrated significant growth in interpersonal skills, including appreciation, giving, and personal responsibility, as validated by a 5-year outcome study conducted with the Center on Research and Evaluation at Southern Methodist University. Kudos to you and the team for that. That is all. When it's a 5-year study, you can trust it.
Listen,
Okay?
listen.
Okay, that's the commitment to the journey, and it is a journey. All of us who work with young people, we know that it is a journey. It does not stop at high school. It does not stop at first year post-secondary. You really have to be committed to their success and to their achievement. And so, Shadae, what skills do you think are most essential for young people today, technical, soft, or otherwise? And how does your program provide those skills? And then after Shadae, I want to give that question to Kimberly.
Thank you. So it's a great question, and you already kind of went into it a little bit, and I was sharing a little bit of how performance and improv and the idea that you can be both who you are and who you're becoming really allows young people the freedom to explore all the many pieces and parts that they are. So it's like they don't have to be locked into one potential narrative or one potential script, which too often a lot of our young people who are growing up in cities or growing up isolated, it's like almost like they grew up saying, "Oh, I have to be a blank." I grew up thinking I had to be a nurse, really.
Right,
My
yes.
mom was a nurse, right? So you kind of get locked into these narratives, but we've identified 8 dimensions of development, some of which you named, like personal responsibility. So the ability to ask for help, and have follow through and prioritize vocational competency. So knowing how to, perform in a professional setting, how to make conversation. Confidence is a big one, right? Knowing where to start and how to reach your goals. Improvisation is one of our other dimensions. Learning from being in unfamiliar situations and building on offers. Appreciation, valuing others, giving, helping others, interpersonal competence, and open world view. So these 8 dimensions are very closely related to the 21st century skills that we hear a lot, and that's what we think is most useful, and it can be key to their future. It's in our programs, it's not so much what you know, but being able to learn new things and build new relationships with people and collaborate.
I think you nailed it. Technical skills are great. Every young person needs technical skills, but as your life trajectory grows, what you do for work changes. But your ability to work with people, your ability to adapt, to pivot, to be professional, to be able to have conversations with folks, patience and private, like all of those things are typically what lead to, oh no, they got to go.
Yep.
Select, or I love this person. They might can't do this, but man, they're a good part of this
They
team.
can work anywhere and grow
They
to
matter.
anything, So
Yeah. And it's a journey to teach those things, right? Because we all also are learning them and implementing them too. So that is the heart of the work. Like, look, you have to be able to win, and here are the skills that's going to help you win no matter where you are. All right, so Kimberly, I want to also pose that question to you. Aisha, Israel, can you please spotlight Miss Hemingway? She is Red Tea. We're asking this first question to Kimberly and Shadae. We'll be with you soon, Aisha. So Kimberly, NYCP, there are like 20 different classes that young people take across our 5 partners. What do you think are the skills that really make the difference that NYCP provides to young people?
Definitely communication is big on the list. So there's various forms, academic communication, knowing how to speak to professors, how to ask questions, right? The professional conversations, the biggest thing right now for us is LinkedIn and how to engage and ask questions about your, ideas around the careers that you're interested in. I think the biggest one that I think is most important for young people, originally I had teamwork written down, but then I thought about it and I said, you know what, it's not really teamwork, it's team building, because sometimes a team doesn't exist. So they need to know how to create a team, you know, and I
Awesome.
think a lot of times, you know, we hate teamwork in high school, we hate it in college, but it's the same thing. It's really gearing us up for the adult life, right? And so just understanding how to build a team, how to be on the team, I think is really crucial. And then those technical skills, I think a lot of times, you know, when we think about technology shifting, and it's like, okay, we got to get everybody on technology. But I think sometimes we overlook the basic computing skills, and that's just the foundation of all of our jobs at some level. You know, you have to have some basic computing skills. So just encouraging kids to make sure that they're brushing up on those skills, that they're, you know, learning how to type with all of their fingers, you know, little things like that that we might take for granted, but sometimes you really have to drill it home, because that can be the step up that they need to.
Yeah, and all of those skills develop confidence. The highlight of my whole school year was Trinasia Clark, one of our PIM students, Dr. DelaPaz. I believe she goes to Newark Tech. She registered. She's the only student I saw register. She came up to me and she said, "Will you be my mentor?" And I'm like, yes, of course. And you know, who knows if she would have been that confident or known to ask that if not for NYCP's, curriculum process, because she's only in the 10th grade. And so I said yes, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since. We have a dinner on Wednesday scheduled. So shout out to Trinasia if she's here. All right, thank you both for that. So the next question is for Jennifer and Aisha. So the workforce is ever changing. So are the interests of students. What career pathways are young people most interested in today? And how has your program changed to meet them? And I want to start with Aisha. And I also want to ask that question to Kathleen too. So Aisha, what are young people interested in?
So hello everyone. I didn't have the opportunity to introduce. I was running late. I just want to let you guys know, don't do what I did. Do not drive and be on a webinar. So don't listen to what I'm saying and don't do what I'm doing. So I
It's
just want to
okay.
say I
We
do apologize for
introduced
being
you.
late, but
We
listen, you
introduced
guys,
you. We took care of it. You're all good. You've been
I
wonderfully
appreciate
introduced.
I
Yes,
appreciate it.
yes.
But I need the young folks to understand. Listen, at the end of the day, I didn't want to miss it, and I wanted to make sure that I heard absolutely everything. But I do appreciate you giving me time to get to my destination, to be able to
Absolutely.
introduce myself, and also reiterate, don't do what I just did in terms of being on the webinar and on the phone. But
No problem. What are the
so
career interests of kids today? Because you are working with 5,000 to 7,000 of them. So what are they interested in?
so right now, the interest based on what we are dealing with is really healthcare and social
Okay.
assistance,
Okay.
food services, retail,
Hmm.
and then entrepreneurship.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, knowing that and just going based off of what we receive, and not only for Newark but for the state, is really emphasizing that healthcare and understanding is different options through that healthcare avenue. So a lot of people think, oh, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer. No, you don't. I mean, you got to be a doctor
Right.
or you got to be a nurse. That's not the case.
Yeah.
So really just educating them with understanding. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. You know, to be in healthcare, you don't necessarily have to go to college, and this is the way you can take. So just letting them know your imperfections is what makes you perfect. So regardless of what direction you want to go in, and being young, it may change. So last year, it probably wasn't the same. It probably wasn't healthcare. But right now, knowing that our job is to make sure that we bring in opportunities for the youth and young adults that's interested in those actual in those actual pathways. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically where we are in reference to what we're seeing in our department.
And the wonderful thing about Summer Youth Employment Program is that you can be a different person every summer. You know, you can literally do a different career every single summer to figure out who you want to be. So I encourage, if you're on this call, that you be committed to getting young people signed up to Summer Youth Employment Program. We have a partnership with SYEP that is wonderful, where we really we try to make our NYCP students sign up. And this year we've been successful with getting a large number of them signed up for some youth employment program. Jennifer, what are the young people interested in? What career paths, and how has your program shifted to serve them? And I see the chat. I'm going to get to the question and answers very soon, everyone. So continue to drop your questions there.
So, hi everyone. Today's students are truly driven by both passion and practicality. So they want to be with a love at, but they also want to be with a money side.
Okay.
But
Right.
we're seeing a huge interest in technology, business, entrepreneurship, social justice or oriented careers. Definitely a lot of healthcare, but a lot of digital media and content creation and tied into entrepreneurship. And it's been a huge, huge deal with students being drawn to social media and video production and digital storytelling. It's really not just for fun anymore, but also like a viable career option. And then the other component is we're seeing a lot of nursing and healthcare. So I do agree with Asia, that field, especially after the pandemic, has been one increasing and notable. And one of it's been an interest, particularly with our Newark students, where they're interested in professional sports and getting outside of the idea of that they're just going to play in the NFL, NBA, but also thinking about the wide range of careers that sports offer within the sports industry and the different types of like sports management, physical therapy, media and analysts, and how marketing can also play a role, and so many different types of majors can play a role, and it can still work within their love, which is these sports. So those are some of the things that we're seeing within the students that we're working with, and we're incorporating more of those likes to figure out what workshops and trainings we're going to offer within the centers.
Can
I
I
think,
piggyback off of that?
okay.
I want to speak towards being an athlete. So I'm a retired professional athlete. I played in the WNBA. So when you
Yeah.
speak about really utilizing that platform to open up other doors, you're absolutely right. That you can't always play, and it is other opportunities. So if you do come across any of those youth that are interested, please don't hesitate. You could just Google my name and you can see accolades. I don't just speak it, I did it. So when it comes to really emphasizing how it's things that you can do outside of playing, I'm a walking testimony of it on the court and
Sure.
off the court. So Jennifer, please, if you have any of them, please shoot them my way.
For sure. I saw that when I was looking you up. I said, I know you were a basketball legend, and but I didn't know you had gone there for. So congratulations on that, Dr. DelaPaz. Now I know it's a bit easier for programs to be nimble. Asia and her team, they're always looking for new partners to connect for summer employment. Jennifer is constantly bringing in new professionals to meet the interests. We can be quick, but you all have academies. So what are you seeing as interest at the school level, and how are you all responding to that?
So we, it's twofold. So we bring in what we call our comprehensive local needs assessment, and that's our industry partners or advisory board members to help us inform what the trends are locally for our labor market needs, right? So obviously Essex County, New Jersey as a whole, healthcare is the number one industry. And interestingly enough, that is one of the most in-demand programs in our school system. So we'll see that using our admissions data. We look at the trends for the students and try to match their interests with what is in demand, creating that pipeline for students to enter a workforce that's in demand with the skills that they need. So we did basically kind of design our PIM grant around both the top industries and those that are in the highest interest for the students. So that includes business, construction trades too. We see a lot of workers in advanced manufacturing and construction retiring, and all these,
Wow.
gaps that we have for students who might not have traditionally considered construction trades as a viable career option, but we all know, like, listen, you want to get something done on your house, like have a few $1,000s prepared to do so. So changing the narrative of what that antiquated notion of what vocational education look like, right? Like most of our kids are going to go straight into the workforce. That's not necessarily the point, the reality now. Like 86% of our students go on to 2 or 4 year colleges, which is great. I think that there was that push at one point where everyone should go to college, and I'm all for college if you know what you want to go for and that leads to your path. But just going and accruing the student loan debt and not preparing our students for the end result is an epidemic, and we see that with the growing I think student loan debt is number 2 after like home ownership. So we want to make sure that our programs align with the students' passion and their purpose. Like Kimberly was saying, we see that students are even, younger millennial workers that we have, they, if they're not interested, they're moving on and they're moving on quickly. So we develop programs that are aligned to the labor market needs, but also provide students the opportunity to see the various pathways within healthcare or within business. You can be you could, build a website, you could be marketing, you could be on social media. So what we're doing is developing, revamping, and even, eliminating some of those programs that don't have the interest and aren't tied to labor market demands. Um, we just opened last year an EMT pathway within health career academies because there's a huge demand, especially in Newark. We have partnered with RWJ Barnabas University Hospital and Hackensack Meridian Health. And I didn't know, like I'm kind of naive when it comes to politics and all of that. But the fact that we had those three mega healthcare organizations in one room with the end purpose of mentoring our students to ensure that they leave the program with a job was just a powerful testament to showing like what beautiful things can happen when the right people are in the rooms to help students get the opportunities that they deserve. So we're revamping some of our programs. We're starting a cybersecurity computer science pathway because that is hugely in demand, and we know that you can graduate with certifications, get a job, and then have the company send you back to school and have them pay for it. So that's the message we're trying to push students towards, is that you can earn and learn at the same time, have someone else pay for it. You can, rack up a bunch of college credits while you're with us, or an associate's degree, and then go straight to work. So there's multiple pathways for success. And within certain clusters, CTE clusters, there's all these different pathways as well. So that's why I just appreciate so much the work that you do with our students, because if they have this idea, I'm going to be an engineer, and then they go to an office and are like, oh, this isn't for me. This isn't what I'd like my life to be like. I'd like to
Right.
travel around, zoom in, maybe do a hybrid model. So for them to speak to leaders in industry and get to see what it really looks like is just that, I think, missing component, the component that was missing for us as the VOTEC school, that we're hoping to change, and build up partnerships with you and whoever is out there that can provide something to our
Yeah.
students. That's the ultimate goal.
Definitely, definitely. All right, so you segued us into the next question, Kathleen, around career exploration and exposure. And I want to pitch this question to Shadae and Kimberly. Your programs have a career exploration and or exposure component. How do you engage professionals, community organizations, and businesses in that aspect of your work? And I want to start with Shadae.
Awesome. Great question. It's definitely the most important or challenging part of our work, I want to say. I shouldn't say it's the most important, but it's definitely very challenging, especially in today's climate. But one of our keys to our success is our involvement philanthropy model, where our partners are actively engaged in our programs. They volunteer, they host and conduct workshops with young people, they provide internships, they help at talent shows. In New Jersey, like you said, I mean, I was kind of taken aback by your stats earlier about 22,000 businesses just in Newark alone. We have a strong business consortium, even in nonprofit partners like Mentor Newark and Newark Alliance and She Wins and the Brick City Police Collective and Leaders for Life and NYCP and so many other public school systems and local colleges that we connect with. But we've also been really lucky to have the support of the mayor's administration when we work with the Newark Police Division. And that has been an amazing program where we get to do our Cops and Kids program. And we do that also in partnership with the New York Jets. So we've had a really good run and reputation over the past 25 years in building in New Jersey alone.
Awesome. So Asia, yeah, it's 22,000 organizations and corporations. We got to find them for SYEP, okay? So the list, we want a list. We want a list, and we're going to share it with everybody. We're going to track them down. Yes. Thank you, Shadae. Kimberly, how does NYCP engage professionals, corporations, etc., for career exploration and exposure?
So that is a multi-level question. I mean, the response is multi-level for NYCP because we do it in various different ways. So one way is our all schools conference. So in the beginning of the year, we kick it off with a big conference. We bring all the kids together from all the schools, and we have different panels. So for that, we invite a lot of professionals. So Linda Lloyd, who is our director of Pathways, she couldn't be here today, but she handles a lot of that work. So she engages all of these professionals. They sign up. And there is a tiered sign up. So they say if they can be panelists, they say if they can host students for trips. So like shadowing, she also signs them up for the summer work program. But then also I forgot to shout out our partners earlier. So we have Leaders of the 21st Century. We have Good Education Group. We have Early Learning Financial Literacy. We have Avid Leadership Institute, and we have the Rutgers Center for Pre-College. And what we've been trying to do this year is also switch the way that we do things and the way that they have been bringing in different professionals to help them facilitate. And so like, for instance, we did some LinkedIn workshops. They have professionals come in that are experts in LinkedIn. And then it really just boosts the engagement of the students. So we try to engage, we try to have professionals engage our students. And then the biggest way that we are teaming up with One Stop this summer is that we are creating jobs for our students. So we've been, Linda has really been engaging these professionals to offer work sites over the summer. So right now we have 55 work sites for our students. So One Stop has been gracious to make sure that our students have guaranteed slots and placements over the summer. And so we have these 55 different partners who have created jobs specifically for our NYCP students. We have over 114 students who have completed the applications. We also have trips. So they've done 6 trips thus far, where we're actually bringing students out of schools and they're going to visit these work sites. And we have at least 9 partners that are partnering with us over the summer to provide these 55 jobs.
Awesome. Thank you, Kimberly. It sounds like it's going to be a busy summer, no days off. So we have a question. We have about 8 minutes before we switch to our second panel. And we have a question from my mentee, Trinasia Clark. Trinasia wants to know, to all of you, whoever wants to answer, and I love this question, Trinasia, how do the programs find and support students whose talents don't always show up in grades or test scores? All right, so I'm gonna give that. Is that Jennifer? You want to go first?
Yeah, because it kind of goes with the question on how do we empower young people.
Yeah.
So at the Abbott Leadership Institute and the Pathway Success Centers, we empower young people by giving them the space, tools, and trust. We don't make the decisions for them. We guide them and make informed decisions about their careers and path. And so we're not the drivers of, we position students to be the drivers of anything that they do and not just the passengers. So, that's a way that we empower young people who may not show up in certain ways in grades and test scores, but we also see them as a whole entire student. And we look at what all the other things that they have going on. So, true empowerment goes beyond some of that information. And it goes about building confidence, affirming identity, and creating environments where young people feel supported and challenged. And so we center your voice and look beyond grades and what you have as you show up. And that's partially and mostly because we have a lot of young people working within our college success, our staff is fully young professionals who are close in age with these students, have been in these positions, have graduated high school, are in college, or have recently graduated college. So they're close and dear to and have had similar experiences. So a person who is working in a site or in a space where a student like this may have been the same student as well. So that's some of the ways that we do it.
Absolutely. And I think, Jennifer, it's powerful that you said welcoming environment. You do an amazing job of creating that. And in those spaces, students rise. Any student that talents don't show up in their grades and test scores, after some time, I think in our programs, they do better and they rise and their potential begins to show in their academic performance for sure. So great question, Trinasia. Aisha, I saw you raise your hand, and then Shadae, I think you also wanted to answer.
Mm-hmm. Want to go first, Aisha?
No, you can go, Shadae.
Okay, mine is quick. Really, really quick. Our programs we don't have any credentials or criteria to enter our programs. It doesn't matter what your grades are. You don't even have to be in school.
Awesome.
We actually find our young people
Hey.
wherever they're at. We've been on streets looking for young people. We go to housing developments, we go to train stations, we go to public schools, and the criteria is if you want to come do this, you should come do this.
All right. All right. I love that. Aisha?
So I guess mine is similar. It's just like both of you guys. I'm on a block. I'm born and raised in Newark, so I'm pulling up to the number blocks. I'm meeting you guys exactly where you're at. I don't mind if it's the corner on the corner store on 14th Street in Avon, I'm there. But one thing I would definitely say is your grades is not important, because when it's all said and done, it's what you bring. So when you coming into our office, we're not checking for your grades. We're not looking, because at the end of the day, I can speak firsthand. I didn't have good grades, but that didn't take away from me actually pursuing what was needed to do right, not only for myself, but for my community. So when it comes to you guys coming here into the Newark Youth One Stop, we give you guys a quick assessment, and we give an opportunity for you guys to go through our workforce boot camp, so you can see, because you may not know what it is that you really want to do. And we're not checking for the grades. So come in, what's up? How can we help you? And to just speak on not just SYEP, we do that all year round. So we do have funding to be able to support you guys all year round. So every 90 days, if you feel like you want to do something else, guess what? That's a paid opportunity all year round for kids ages 16 to 24. So yeah, we do it. We definitely take care of everybody in summertime, but all year round, we can help you find that talent. You may not even realize what you're talented in if you don't actually step up to do something that's uncomfortable for you, and you kind of find out you're actually good at it. So you got to challenge yourself to look outside of the box and never question if you're good enough, regardless of your grades.
I love that, all year round. Thank you, Aisha. We do have, yes, Kathleen, yes.
Just wanted to add, as Trinasia is one of our PIM students, we were very, very, systematic in choosing the students. And I have to leave this up and give kudos where they deserve to our supervisor, Miss Jennifer Ramos. She turned, we got notification, we received this $1.4 million grant. We had to find a cohort of students in about a month's time. We went to each campus, made a presentation, and opened it up to all of our students. And she was very specific about the type of student she wanted. We weren't looking for those A+ students who have 20 things on their resume already, right? We're looking for the student that's committed, like Trinasia, who wants to, improve herself to empower others, who might be that BC student, not straight A's, but students that have that hunger for growth, and that will meet you where you are to, definitely take advantage of all the opportunities. Because we do see, grades do matter, but, what's more important, having straight A's or being able to advocate for yourself and shake someone's hand and follow up with an email and reach out to someone and say, hey, could you be my mentor? So we are seeing, complete success with the PIM students thus far. 100% of them have earned at least 3 college credits just this year. They're on their pathway for certification, and they're very vocal. And I know Miss Ramos would support this. They're telling us what they want. And Kimberly, I see you shaking your head too, and Jennifer, no, we don't want another team building experience. We want to go to the sites.
Yep.
We want to meet the people.
Yes.
So, I think just having the voice and advocating for yourself is the most important skill that you need when you want to take advantage of opportunities. So we're very proud of our PIM students, and now we're following them on LinkedIn, and they're posting left and right.
Yes.
Kaleena and I had to up our profiles. We weren't doing that, but here we have our 10th graders like, hey, you're telling us to do it, you have to do it too. So just advocating for themselves and, taking advantage of opportunities is just amazing. So
For sure, for sure. And we do have one question before we transition to our next panel from Tanya Israel Saint Hilaire, one of our favorite people, a part of the NYCP ecosystem. And we'll have one person, just in the interest of time, answer the question. Patricia Sermon, we will provide information on how to join and access all of these programs in a follow-up. All right, so we will provide that information for you. So Tanya asks, as someone who is new to the youth workforce development space, but has spent years in education, I'm curious, what strategies have you found most effective in bridging the gap between classroom learning and real-world workforce readiness for young people in Newark. So what strategies have you found to be the most effective from bridging the gap between classroom learning and real-world workforce readiness for young people in Newark? And who would like to answer that? Raise a hand. Shadae.
I could jump in and I'll try to be as succinct as possible. And it's interesting because the bridging the gap is an interesting way of putting it. I do think that development and what everybody on this call is able to do in the after school space is really support young people's ability to learn and grow. So it's interesting. I think a lot of times people think that learning comes first, but in actuality, I think the work that we're doing in the after school space actually creates and develops young people's ability to learn,
Sure.
and to connect with and apply knowledge and have knowledge acquisition from school. So of course, the thing that we found that has been most successful in bridging the gap is having young people recognize that, and we use our tool is performance. So, I'm a little bit on that side. We use performance and performing arts to bridge that gap in particular. And it's really about showing that life itself can be viewed as a stage. So you can find
Sure.
ways to perform in unfamiliar environments, or you go into foreign places. How do you have an opportunity to do things you've never done before? Try on new, costumes, try on a new performance, try on a new script, try it first, pretend, practice, rehearse, 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 so much so that it becomes a part of something that you are confident to now do. So that's a quick version of it, of our 10-week program. But yeah, like we understand there's definitely a connection between school and after school.
Yeah, and I think partnerships are a big answer to that too, Tanya. Developing partnerships that do that bridging for you. All right, so we are going to bring in our next panel. Kathleen, Jennifer, do not go far. We are going to have you back at the end for a last couple of questions. So our second panel now, they've left high school. Kathleen, we've said goodbye. They've said goodbye to you. They're off into the world. And now who picks them up? All right, who picks them up? So Shadae and Kimberly and Aisha are going to stay with us because they also have a lane in post-secondary. But we are so excited to welcome Seema Na of Gateway U and Samantha Crockett of Braven. We need to see them on the screen. Hello. We have already introduced you, but I do want to take some time for Seema and Samantha to tell us more about their organizations, starting with Seema. Tell us more about Gateway U. And I want to say, what I love is food truck Fridays that are coming back in a couple weeks. So I'm excited about that. But tell us about the whole scope that is Gateway U.
For sure. Hey, everybody. Say Mana, Executive Director of Gateway U. And we do love Food Truck Fridays. First one is June 6th, 35 Treat Place.
Ooh.
We'll see y'all there. But for the most part, right, Gateway U is a college and career pathway program in the city of Newark. We partner with Southern New Hampshire University, right, to offer an affordable, flexible college experience. I think more importantly, right, we offer wraparound coaching, career support, right? A physical student center that help folks not just go to college, but also get through college and get into good paying careers, right? Because that's the idea. I think our students are, when I think about them, they're often working, right? They are parenting, they're healing, they're hustling, figuring it out, right? And we created Gateway U because they deserved an educator model just as much as the rest, right? That also sees them and understands them and gets it. That's us.
Yeah, and Seema, what I will say is the space of Gateway U is beautiful, but the environment, the atmosphere, you can feel the love and commitment from you and every member on your team. So you all have done a beautiful job. Sometimes I don't even want to leave. Can I stick
Don't
around?
leave. Stay. You can stick around.
Yes, it's a beautiful space. So thank you, Seema. Samantha, tell us more about Braven.
Hi everyone, Sam Crockett here. Braven is a national nonprofit that partners with universities, with employers, and for the most part, really just works with young people from all ages, right, in colleges with finding strong jobs post-college. And so we do that through a 3-credit course. So here in Newark, we partner with Rutgers Newark, and we teach a 3-credit course that allows our students to really think about who they are, what they're studying, and then how that connects to what they want to do post-college. And they do that in a small group. They do that with professional mentors that join them during the course. And again, just work with them throughout the semester. And then after the course, they're with us until 6 months after graduation. We work with them with pairing them with professional mentors. There's tons of events that they can join to really understand and just think about what are the different careers that they can get involved with and build their network, access their network. And then ultimately at the end, our goal is that they find a strong job or go to graduate school. And for us, a strong job is a job that requires a bachelor's degree because our students are in college. Make sure they're salary based, that they their salaries are also on par and even above what they deserve, to make sure that when they are graduating, they are making what they deserve. And they have health and wealth benefits, pathways to promotion, all of those pieces. So we look at employment, but we really do hone in on those strong jobs for our students and then partner with the community to get them there.
For sure. I wish I had something like Braven when I was in college, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just there. It's just there. Like Jennifer said earlier, young people want to go where the money resides. You know, they do care about that. And we can't be afraid to talk about money. We have to be able to talk about money if we're going to change the economic outcomes for young people. And what I also love about this panel is a young person could participate in all of our programs as a part of their journey. They could be enrolled at Essex County, be in NYCP, do summer employment with SYEP, participate in All Stars, enroll in Gateway, and Braven has opportunities even if you're not a Rutgers student, that where you can participate. So there are so many ways that young people can take advantage of everything that we have to offer and go to the Pathway Success Center. So that's what we're aiming for, a touch from us all. So my first official question, Samantha, I'm going to start with you. In 2024, Braven Fellows graduated from Rutgers University, Newark, 158 of them. 68% of these graduates secured strong job outcomes within 6 months, outperforming peers nationally by 26 percentage points. 84% were employed or enrolled in graduate school within 6 months of graduation. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing young adults entering the workforce today, and what supports do they need to overcome them?
Yeah, this was a tough one because there's so many different challenges, especially right now at this moment. But when I really honed it down, I would say just confidence in general, of just the confidence to either apply for that job that they want, confidence to attend those sessions, even confidence to call that mentor or that person that they met to really think about how to connect and build. And so I think that's also one that joining one of our programs, right? All the different programs and networks that exist could definitely help with that challenge, just because the more you're around others and hear about experiences and also learn that like none of our journeys are linear. Like you don't go from this step to this. It's not perfect, right? We all lean on each other. There are folks that I call when I'm interviewing to help pump me up before I have that interview. And so just really thinking about the different ways of either joining an organization like Braven, if you're in college at a school that has that, or also just attending those events, finding a mentor, having someone that can help you really unpack who you are and just build your confidence so that you do attend that event or you do apply for that job that you thought might be out of your comfort zone, but you do it because you believe in who you are and what you can accomplish in that role.
For sure. One of our partners, Dan Denos, Leaders of the 21st Century, one of their classes is your network is your net worth. So really just not being afraid to build relationships and reach out so that you can overcome those things. Seema, what are the biggest challenges for your students entering the workforce, and what supports do you provide to help them overcome it?
Absolutely. I think when I think about, just how I grew up, right? I think we'll start there, right? And probably how we all grew up, right? We were told to work hard, stay out of trouble. The opportunity will come, it's going to follow. But the reality is that's just not always true.
Absolutely.
I think for many of us, opportunity is restricted, and that's just the reality through tuition, through time, through knowledge gaps. And I think it's even how we navigate the system. The reality is that opportunity costs. And I think the services that Gateway U has created is basically lowering those costs. So, right, affordable college tuition. Tuition is matched at the Pell Grant, where it's $7,000 a school year.
Wow.
Means, 70% of our students attend college for free, right? They're graduating
Wow.
without debt. They all receive a full-time academic coach and a career coach, and
Mm,
around supports like childcare, mental health services, housing, tech access, right? The list goes on. But I think like those are the things that make us different. I think
mm,
also we don't push our students out the nest, right?
okay.
We walk with them to their degree into the workforce, and then also those 2 years graduation support, right? So what does it look like after you graduate? Because I'm sure we all know on this call, right? Getting a job is just one thing, but staying
Right.
in it, growing in it, that's true economic mobility. And I think that's what we want to see.
Opportunity costs. I love
Yeah,
that.
a
Let's
lot of money
underline that 4
sometimes.
times. Opportunity costs.
100
Yes.
for me.
Yes, and it's not just getting a job, but it's growing in a job that leads to economic mobility. Love that. Love that. Thank you, Seema. Aisha, Shadae, or Kimberly, do either of you want to answer that question? What do you see as the biggest challenges that young people face in the workforce when they're starting out?
Yes. So before I came to NYCP, I was with Rutgers Future Scholars for 16 years. And with that program, students transition from high school into college. And so I've seen a lot of students graduate college. Unfortunately, there's a large number of students who graduate and do not enter a career field. They do not have a solid job, even at the day of graduation, or even 2 years, 3 years after graduation, they're still trying to figure it out. And so I think the missing aspect is that coaching, that career coaching, is just so necessary. So all my kids, I always push them for Brave. And I'm like, you need to go figure it out. Like, go find the place that can help you figure it out. I think that's really important, because a lot of times they don't even know what they don't know. They don't know how to utilize the tools, right? So my biggest thing today, I was at university earlier, and I was talking to the seniors, and they were all they all said that they had the plans, right? Their plans. I want to say at least 85% of the kids in the class said they wanted to go to school out of state. And so I was like, oh, do you know how expensive that's going to be? Do you even know what your major is? Have you looked up the jobs that are aligned with that major, right? And I was telling them that they need to utilize ChatGPT. And so I was like, don't use it just for grammar checks. Don't use it to send an email. Use it to say, this is the major that I'm considering. Send me the top 15 jobs, and then break down what I need to do to be ready, to be top qualified for the position once I graduate, and really build that whole plan out. So I was like, I think that now more than ever, they have the tools, but they don't know how to use them, so they need people that can help them and push them, just to ask the questions, to find the people. And then, like Samantha said, to have the confidence to, once you get that ChatGPT plan, is going to say specifically what to do. And a lot of that is going to also say, build relationships, look for the internships, look for the programs. So they have to then go and take those next steps. Unfortunately, a lot of students graduate and they haven't had anybody to have those conversations with them. And so then they're still struggling, years after graduation. And then we got those conversations like, oh, was college worth it? So I always say there's a right and a wrong way to do college. Anyone can go, anyone can graduate, but if you did it right, stuck to a plan. But even like Seema said, you can build a whole plan and still go left, right? But just knowing the options and having the tools, I think it's important.
Yeah. And Seema, you said you're going to add navigation?
Yeah. I was just listening to Kimberly. Yeah, I'm definitely going to add navigation to everything that Kimberly was saying. I think as she was speaking, I just thought about, we've been pushed into survival mode, right? That's how we've been moving. So it's literally not just about those things, right?
Right.
How do I find work that pays well? How do I build credit? How do I build wealth? How do I build stability, right? Caring for my family. How do I also succeed when I'm the first in my household to even attempt this
For
path?
sure. For
What does
sure.
that support look like, right? How can we make that holistic? As Kimberly was talking, my mind was just going, and I didn't want to interrupt, so I put it in the chat.
Yeah, no, and that's really true. And I think that for parents and educators who are listening, that's why we really have to encourage young people to take advantage of programs like NYCP and All Stars and all of these, because a lot of what Kimberly is talking about are things that we do with young people across the year. They have post-secondary planning classes. They have classes where they're taught to do all of those things. But sometimes you don't realize how valuable they are until you get to the end. And then you're like, oh man, I should have been paying more attention in that class when they were talking about how to, research salaries. I should have been paying attention. But the good thing is that we have the alumni network to continue to support them, because it really doesn't become relevant until it's relevant. And so it's very important that it doesn't stop at high school and that we have opportunities to continue the conversation. Shadae?
I'm gonna try to say it quick because it's an elephant in the room, and it's not the most. It's a hard conversation to have in terms of what I think the biggest challenge is, but something to just note: Newark has 25% poverty rate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 1 in 4 every young person is
Yeah.
going through poverty. And poverty is not just an economic condition. It's social, it's subjective. And when you're growing up in a community that might be lacking resources or underserved, sometimes you grow up isolated. So you don't see clear pathways to what Kimberly is saying and what Seema is saying. Like, we need support in navigating what's available, because you're cut off from the vitality of commerce and culture and corporations by systematically. So yeah, the work that we're doing, I think everybody on this call, and especially at the All Stars, is about bridging that gap, connecting young people with caring adults. At the All Stars, we try to do it with as many affluent adults as possible, just to give, in a way, we're creating demands. We're setting demands. We're saying, you're affluent. Well, you have a responsibility to give them. And, give them, the gateway or the pathway to a wider world. I'm being cheeky now, but yeah, like we're all, I think, giving them a gateway or a pathway to the broader world and community.
Yeah. Shadae, I'm glad you said that, because access is the key term that I use a lot when describing NYCP, because all the classes are great. Everything is great. But my goal is really to increase access to people of power, importance, and money and influence for young people. All that stuff is just a means to do that. But that's really the only point. And in my 20 years of doing youth development work, I know that has been the game changer. That has been what has made so many of the young people I've worked with successful, is that they've been in rooms with people of power, and that gives them confidence, and they're able to speak differently, and they have different expectations for themselves and for their community. They come to their community and say, what do you have to offer me? Instead of kind of just waiting to see if they're chosen. So let's talk about access.
Yes, preach.
How do each of your programs increase access, and not just access to skill building and education? We know that that's important, but how do you increase access to community and all of the things that it has to offer? So who would like to take that question for? I'll start with Aisha. How do you all increase access?
So I would definitely say we increase access by allowing the kids to kind of speak to us and us not speak to them. So allowing them to have a voice. So right now we're in a process of allowing anybody that was a part of the Summer Youth Employment Program, or even just a part of our all year round program, where they are speaking and giving those testimonies to be able to pour into the credentials, the audibles, to show them what is working. And me being a walking, literally, testimony to those kids. Like, I didn't learn how to read or write till I was 18 years old, which allowed, and I was uncomfortable in these rooms. Like, here I am, not knowing, one of those poverty kids, not knowing that, oh my God, I want my shame, so I go into my shell. I don't know. So really accepting and understanding that just because you feel like you're lack in one department don't mean that God didn't place something in you that's going to make you sharper in others. So when we speak about that access, it's just understanding that you deserve that access and stand for it. So a lot of these kids are very shy, and they're not going to give their testimonies, and they're not going to be comfortable. So we need you guys to help us as we go out to receive the access that's needed for you guys by letting us know what's really wrong and not going to your shell and feel uncomfortable, because we are here to support you in any way possible. And I'm a walking testimony of that. So I thank God every day to be able to put me in a position with a learning disability, with an IEP, and I'm sitting in a director's seat. That's access
Yeah.
by itself. You know what
For
I mean?
sure.
So
For
just
sure.
accepting who you are and what God created you to be, and stand on that, and know that your voice matter. We're here
Yeah.
for a reason. We all got off of work already, but
For
us
sure.
being here is you guys
For
having
sure.
that access
Yes.
and utilizing this platform to really step into your truth, to allow us to go. So that's kind of how I do it. Just being comfortable with who you are and accessing the ones that really can engage. But it takes for the youth to really have a voice and stand on what they deserve.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aisha. Samantha, how does Braven increase access?
Yeah, so social capital is what came to mind when I was thinking about that question. And at Braven, like just for example, this past year we had 500 students go through our course at Rutgers Newark. And all of those students had a leadership coach, right? So somebody who's in the professional community, either at Panasonic, Audible, McKinsey, you name it, one of the anchor institutions here. And just access to a professional who could help them understand their own pathway, help them think through like, here's where I want to go. What are some options? Like, how do I get there? I love doing this. What can I get paid for that would allow me to do the things that I love? And so access to that. But then also we have mock interviewers during the course. We have professional mentors that students can get as many times as they want until they graduate. They just have to sign up for that. And it's access to somebody in the career field that they want to be in, access to a career coach, right? Again, so it's all these different individuals that they are able to, again, access and really, it's like you have a network, but are you activating that network? And they're able to have all of those individuals, their LinkedIn profile. One, they build it in our course. If they don't have it, if they do have it, they can enhance it. But they're also building like the individuals that they're connecting with companies, all the events that we have, and also just building their network on campus. There's so many different programs, that exist at Rutgers Newark or in Newark in general that students may not have heard of. And so we try to ensure that they know all of the things, because it's not just one thing that's going to get you to that career, right? We need to work together and collaborate. So
For
definitely
sure. And
building
it's
capital.
the informal access too. You know, when we bring young people with us to meetings, when we bring them to conferences, when we send them to represent us, you know, it's the informal access that makes them feel special, because they are special, right? So when you have the opportunity to engage with people outside of the traditional way and kind of like build your own relationships, and what I always say to young people is don't take that for granted. Hiring you is access, and letting you be at tables where decisions are being made is access. Giving your opinion, those are privileges that you have not yet earned, but because we know the power of access, we are providing that, because we know that you can handle it. But you got to understand the moment that you're in and take advantage of it. So thank you all. And we're going to switch to a question about non-traditional pathways. So as of the latest available data, approximately 2/3 of Newark High School students, graduates, enroll in college after graduation, yet only 23% of them earn a degree within 6 years. We don't have any data on students who choose non-traditional paths, such as straight to work or online or any of the other options. So I want to ask Seema, what has been the power of exposing young people? Because I know at Gateway U, they do earn a traditional degree, but the pathway to that is non-traditional. So what has been the power of exposing young people to non-traditional paths, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the quick answer is they didn't know it existed.
Right.
Right. It's very simple. Yes, I won't give y'all too like a long drawn out spiel, because it doesn't have to be long drawn out. It's simple as our students, our community didn't know this type of path existed for the money that it existed. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that, like, wow, I can go to college, because one thing that we did do to increase access is remove SAT scores, GPA requirement, essays, right? So yeah, I may have messed up a couple of years in high school, but I can still go to a 4-year college. Wow, I can still, yeah, right. I can still
Yes.
my college degree. My mother refuses to help me with FAFSA because she's scared about filling out the tax information and all of that comes with it. You telling me I still can go to school? Yes, you can, right? It's those type of questions that need answers that we were able to provide answers to. But I think that's just it. They didn't know it existed. Now we're telling them that, hey, it does exist, right? And we're also providing the pathway to get there. I think it's just as simple as that.
Love that. And Kimberly, you initiated for NYCP the post-secondary option classes that are non-traditional pathways. Why was that important to you? And what do what do you think is the power of that for NYCP students?
I think it was important to me because until I came to NYCP, I didn't know half of those programs existed. So when I was going to South Florida Promise neighborhood meetings, I'm hearing about all of these different opportunities. And then I just realized that, like NYCP, our main goal is to bring everything directly to the students, bring it directly to the schools. And then when we're in these meetings too, so for instance, Nate, who is with Propel, he would always say that, he's trying to recruit kids. And I'm like, why are we not just, that's just another pathway, so it was just natural, just to bring people in. And even though the students today at university, they were all college bound, my main goal was take this folder of information from all of the schools, to understand that you always have options, because a lot of kids, if you look at the college results websites, they'll tell you that the retention rates are, 50% or lower, at a lot of universities. And then also shout out to the Gateway University crew. They came and Gio did a whole presentation on financial aid, on where their packages, the cost of everything. And so it just, some kids, you could see their minds, like, oh, okay, I have another option, so they just need to know. And I just keep telling the kids, you need to have as many options on the table. And then unfortunately, our students are not used to options. They're used to one thing, and that survival instinct is like, oh, I got something, let me just jump to that and then just lean into that, when it's like, no, we need to teach them to have a spread, and then you do the picking. It's all up to you. You're not desperate anymore, you get to pick. Right. And so I think just creating those opportunities so that they can then understand that they have the authority to pick and really guide their own life, govern themselves, is so important.
Nathaniel from Propel said in the chat, options are power. Absolutely. Options are power. And our young people definitely have them. All right, it's 7:12. Let's bring everybody back. Kathleen, Jennifer, please join us. We have a question from Trinasia again, and then I have a couple of closing questions for us all. So, Kathleen, Trinasia asks, are trades or certifications just as valuable as a college degree in today's workforce?
100%. And I don't want to say even more valuable, but I do want to reiterate that pathways to success are important, and knowing who and where you can be offered this opportunity is important. So I'll just do say a little anecdote about one of our students from our Mr. Beckett's music production program, right? So the majority of our students do go on to 2 4-year colleges, which is great, but we do know the reality of the college retention rate is low, as Kimberly was saying. We had a student in Mr. Beckett's class, and a few subsequently have followed, that actually sat for the IATSE Stagehands Union entrance exam. The student graduated, I think, about 3 years ago, and he is now traveling the world. He is in a union at 18 years old. He has the option to go back to school, but he says, you know what, I'm learning more in industry. I've made these connections. I'm making a good amount of money at a young age, and just his trajectory is amazing. So we want to be sure that students know that, hey, I have this certification, I have these college credits under my belt while in high school. I could easily enter the workforce at this rate and have someone pay for my college education. So certifications are important. That's why Trinasia, we hear Work-Based Learning Wednesdays. That's another initiative by my partner, Miss Ramos, where we intentionally focus on these career development skills, because we see that while students have the academic and technical skill attainment, that professional skills, and we like to call them power skills because there's nothing soft about it. These are important. So certifications, your career readiness skills, and advocating for yourself is just as important, if not more, than that college degree. So we want to make sure that we know that there are multiple pathways to success, and that if you're on one right now, you can easily hop over to another or vice versa. So certifications, yes.
All right. So I have some rapid fire questions that I'm going to get through. And so I'm often in meetings where I hear folks talk about the number of degree holders who live in Newark. There's an initiative 25% by 25, et cetera. And I always say that doesn't mean that that's the only ones that earned a degree. There are many of us who earn degrees and just don't live in Newark anymore. That number is reflective of those who stay, who go to high school in Newark and decide to stay. And that is how you begin to, if you really want to have a number that shows a change in a city. Otherwise, you have people coming into a city and living. So I always say, hold up, that doesn't reflect, because I went to Arts High School, graduated in 2000, and 75% of my peers all of them are pretty successful, and 75% of them do not live in Newark anymore. So it doesn't fairly tell our story. So to all of you, and I want to start with Jennifer and Aisha. Oh, first, raise your hand if you are a Newark alum, like you went to a Newark high school. All right, so we around. So how do we get young people that we serve in Newark to stay in Newark at least for a while and help change the economic outcomes of our city, the stats? How do we do that? Jennifer, and then Aisha, and if anybody else wants to answer. Because I have my own ideas. Jennifer knows about Newark Commons. Go ahead, Aisha. What do we need to do? We invest in all this time. We building them up. How do we get them to stay? Like Israel, who's in the background doing our IT today. He's here, still here. So is Jennifer. Go ahead, Aisha.
I would definitely say giving them an opportunity to go outside of Newark to want to come back home. So allowing them to experience hands-on experience, to go outside of Newark and see what's out there and bring it back home to pour into your team. Or to pour into your friends, your classmates, whatever that looks like. And I think that's a big issue that we don't have. So it took for me to step out to see what it's like to want to bring it back home and say, yo, it's a lot out there, but how would they know if we don't give them the opportunity? How would they know what's out there if all they know is Newark? So
Absolutely.
we have to take them out of Newark to want to miss home, to say, okay, if I go out there, like if somebody's doing film production, they go to LA for 2 weeks, make some money, come back. You don't necessarily have to live out there to do the work and get paid. You can come back home. So how would they know what that look like if everything we doing is here in Newark? So when you constantly here and you don't have an opportunity to step out, it's going to make you run away from Newark. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the big things that we're trying to do by giving them that experience, not only in our city, but outside of our city. So when you come back home, that resume look a little spicy because you was able to get some type of experience outside of Newark, and investing in them to be able to do that, because a lot of them don't have the funding to do so.
Yeah, and Aisha, I think that's very true. I want them to do that while they in school. My answer to that is give them a good job that pays well, give them some affordable housing, and teach them about civic engagement and their opportunity to build the city that they want to have. You teach civic engagement, leadership, you give them a good, solid job that they make good money and some housing that they can afford. They're going to plant for a little while. So that would be my answer to that. But I also do agree with you wholeheartedly that the outside exposure, when you become cultured, it makes you have something to bring back. So I love that. Jennifer?
Yeah, so I have, I think that Norker is 2-1. My unpolitical is that Norkers have to stop looking at Norkers a certain way because your talent is right here. Tanisha Gibbs has this saying that everything you need is in this room. Everything you need is in the city. We don't have to go outside to look for anything. So start to look at your people as credible and not needing to be outside to go to have that credibility. And then the politically correct answer is that to get young people to stay in Newark, you should invest in their growth. So that's making Newark feel like it's worth staying. That means opportunity here, ownership here, and belonging, and creating real and visible career pathways here, internships here. I shouldn't have to go to New York when Prudential, Audible, and all of these people are here. Apprenticeships, jobs that actually are paying a wage that is not that is thriving.
Thrivable wage, thrivable wage.
And if young people could see themselves building a life and a career in Newark, they're most likely to stay. But that means tapping into these industries and high paying career jobs, which realistically also is on us to make sure that they understand that they are capable of being engineers, that they are capable of being nurses, that they can be a lawyer, that they can be a doctor. And if they want to be a content creator, they can be that too. So the industries that are so far off reach, so quote unquote, that they can and actually can be in those places and prioritize and train them for those roles. And then I think, I'm sorry, the second thing is
No, good, Jennifer, go ahead.
making sure that you
Go
elevate
off, sis. Say
you elevate their youth so that they understand that they are they can be involved civically, understand that they have a power in decision making, and invest in their learning what community looks like. So I think all of that, will make out of young people wanting to look at Newark in a place where I look at Newark. This is all the things that I was taught and reason why I decided to stay. And when people tell me
Sure.
you gotta leave to build, I disagree. I think everything we need is right here. And yes, I travel and look at different things, but I always want to come home and ensure that we are building here because of all of those things that I said.
Yeah, and you're a testament to that. You've been given opportunity. You have a beautiful house. You are a testament to, if we invest in young people talent, they do stay. But what you said in the beginning was spot on. We have to know that the talent is right here. So thank you, Seema. And then Samantha, I believe's hand was up.
Yes,
Seema.
I just wanted to add to what Jennifer was saying, right? Proud daughter of the city, or tatted on my back, all the things, right? Raised in the Garden Spires, right? I am someone who left and came back, right? I was out in New York for a little bit, out in DC for a little bit, and returned back home. And exactly what Jennifer said, right? The reason I got jobs there, it's not like I didn't apply home when I got out of college. I applied here. I just didn't get the opportunity here. So I left. I went to where the opportunity was. But if the opportunity was at home, I would have stayed home. Right. And I would have grew here. Right. But I was able to, what Aisha was saying, right? I was able to get all the things that I learned from New York. And always in the back of my head, if you ask my DC peers, they will tell you, like Sam, I always said, I'm going back home. Right.
Yeah.
Everything that I learned, I'm going to bring back to my city to grow my city and develop my city, right? And do all the things that we said that we was going to do when we said we was going to do them. But I just wanted to add to what Aisha and Jennifer so eloquently, politically and unpolitically.
Yeah, all of it. It's just the truth. It's the truth. And when we were thinking about the next step for NYCP, I told Linda Lord, who's our director of career pathways, I said, I don't want to just teach people skills. I need the corporations in this city to hire our kids and for them to start working and so that they can do exactly what Jennifer said, is see our talented young people differently. And so we have 125 career, out of that 22,000, we have 125 career partners, including Beth Israel, Port Authority, Adina Bayou and Companies, who was the first to employ 13 of our young people last year, and a bunch of Matrix Engineering. It's many to name, but our relationship with them, Newark Emergency Services, our relationship with them is helping them see our kids differently. And they will have jobs if they want them with organizations like that. We have to change the mindset of employers so that they can create opportunities just for our kids. Samantha.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth because that's where I was going. But I was gonna just name just how important it is to make sure that the employers, because there's so many great companies and organizations in Newark, and it's important that they get to meet our students. And that's why even at Braven, leadership coaches, mock interviewers, professional mentors, they are all coming from those companies, because once they meet our students, they either want to help them find a job, find an internship, or connect them to someone in their network. And that's what keeps our students in Newark here, because they get to see those opportunities and kind of break down those barriers. Because you see the potential, you see all these companies in the city, but many of our students never went inside those companies. And so it's really important to both give them access, but also have the folks who are working here really get to know our students. So everything you said, Jennifer.
Yeah. And Kimberly, I'm going to call on you first because I think you'll be able to say what you want to say with my final question for the panel. And then I have one. So it's two more questions, and I'm going to go to Kimberly first. So as a city, how can the ecosystem work better together to support young adults to improve economic outcomes? So we're kind of talking about that right now. This is a question that I have for everyone. And then my last question will be, has your program been impacted by the Trump administration's policies? What has he been doing? 5,000 of them, executive orders, budget cuts. We need to talk about that too. So those are the final two questions. Kimberly, first question, as a city, how can the ecosystem work better to support young adults to improve economic outcomes?
So first I want to say, earlier Samantha mentioned confidence, right? So Newark is a college town.
That's
But
right.
our kids wouldn't think that. They wouldn't know that. There are a lot of students that don't even venture out into that part, right? I had partnered with, I think it was Avon Avenue, just to bring some kids to campus. And we walked the kids around downtown. These were 7th and 8th graders. And one of the kids said, the trees are pretty. Like, like the trees are pretty, but it was just such a, like, everybody's like, that's such an awkward comment. But then we realized, like, in certain neighborhoods, they just don't have a lot of trees that are just growing and thriving in like outdoor spaces that just look, so the attention. But then the biggest thing is just creating that sense of not just access, right? Because access, it just means that you open the doors. But did the kids actually feel comfortable? Did they feel welcome? Did they feel a part of it, right? So it's like bringing them on those trips, that exposure, feeling comfortable walking through a hall, right? It just changes the trajectory of a kid and even their possibilities. A kid that has a family member that works in a hospital, they're exposed to so many other jobs. So they're going to know the different jobs, right? And so I was going to say previously was that I think the ecosystem, one, it has to change with shifting the narrative. So I think we need the Kaleenas to share your story and then get together all those other people that fit inside. So everybody else that graduated from arts that does not live in the city, to share the story, to number one, publicize the fact that no, we're here, we're educated, we got the good jobs, right? But then also highlight that, to be politically correct, I'm not going to say no names, but there are companies in this city that literally will offer outsiders full year's rent to live in Newark and work in Newark. They will offer them meal cards to go and eat for free downtown every single day, right? So there's these incentives for outsiders to bring them in, to bring that talent in. When, like we're saying, it's here. So how do we create or force the creation of incentives for our people so that they can say, we can all use free rent, and
that's
like,
right.
doing the hard work. We're doing the hard work,
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I think that's the forcing that we got to force the ecosystem a little bit. Like we have to mandate certain things, so there's people getting tax breaks. We got to be a part of that tax break. Like, we got to be a little blurb in there. Part of it is also, now we got to welcome some kids in these buildings. We have to mandate that they have internship programs and pipelines. And, a lot of these companies, they have the volunteer, they have the initiatives that they have to give back. But sometimes when you call them, they're like, hey, we have this opportunity. And they're like, well, we can't technically force the people to do it. So I'm like, what are we talking? So it's like, I think we have to kind of really, really bring people to the table. But I feel like it first starts with shifting that narrative, so it's not out of desperation. And it's not out of, our numbers are so low. It's like, no, we're here, we have this. But these are all the programs and these are all the opportunities we want to present moving forward.
For sure. And thankfully, the career pathway partners we've reached out to have been enthusiastic. They may tiptoe in how they engage, but we have been able to grow them, but I think we have to be okay with the fact that people need a starting point and be okay with asking, like, can we do this first? And then they get comfortable, as they go forward and it grows. But absolutely, the narrative has to change. Thank you, Kimberly. Anyone else want to answer that? How can the ecosystem work better together to support young adults to improve economic outcomes? What do you need from the city to do your work?
I can take a little at it. So as a hub for resources, we truly believe that it is critical to stay deeply connected within the community and actively listening to to the need of students. So a key part of supporting our students is making sure like we keep our ears to the streets and gather information on everything that's happening, all the opportunities that are available to them. That includes like all of the local programs and scholarship, internships, career readiness, workshops, partnerships with businesses, everything. I pretty much try to go to every panel, whether I'm listening to two things at a time, talk to Lyndon Brown all the time. I know he's sick and tired of seeing my name pop up on his phone, but I'm always trying to see what other opportunities are out there. So really, I think a part of my, not even just job, but like my cycle is making sure that I'm gathering all the information so that when somebody else needs it, or any student needs it, that we're all aware of something that's of all of the things that are happening. And that comes from being collaborative, that comes from working together, that comes from creating this ecosystem of schools, local organization, businesses, community leaders, and that together we must share the information and coordinate
Sure.
efforts to ensure that every student, no matter if they're at Gateway, Braven, SYEP, or All Stars, that they have the resources that they need to thrive.
Thank you. Kathleen, what does the ecosystem, what can it provide you to make sure that young adults are able to improve their economic outcomes? What do you all need at Essex County Schools of Technology?
I think just a little more of what we're currently doing, right? So we need those connections to, community leaders, industry partners that are willing to come into schools and give, an hour of their time to Zoom in with our students, or will be open to host them at their facility. That's just so important. We do have such talent in Newark. Our students are amazing. And they would only benefit the community even greater if we were able to plug them into those opportunities for employment within the city. So to create that, what is it, 22,000 industry membership partners, there's got to be somewhere out there for each of our kids to, really make a life-changing impact, have that opportunity to mentor them to create this pathway to success. So just more of that. That's what we need.
Yeah, so as Kimberly said, if there are any elected officials on, we need you to make that a part of the tax credit. There's a really easy move that can be made. Say, your hand was raised.
Yeah, I was gonna say, first of all, Kimberly, yes, put pressure on the ecosystem, right? Prioritize, I think, lived experience when we talk about hiring, funding,
Oh,
decision making,
yes.
right? And when we talk about like how we can invest, we need to invest in homegrown models. And I think we're doing some of that work, but we need to continue to do it. I think one of the ways that we can do that, right? Research takes a lot of time and
Sure.
effort capacity that a lot of our organizations may not have, right? We can
Absolutely.
make that data public and available to these organizations, right? Because it's tangible data, right? It's not just, 10% of the students, right? Not something that we just pull from
Yeah.
census, right? But real research, like Brick City
Yeah.
Police Collective, Rutgers, they do a lot of that work. Shout out to them. And it's been really, really helpful for us. But if we can continue to utilize these institutions that have the capacity to do this type of research, to empower and invest in our models, like I think we'll be further, especially when we talk about funding, because we need those numbers to get the dollars, right? The dollars ain't gonna move that the data isn't there, right? So I feel like that will be helpful.
Sure.
And
I
I
love that.
think something that we all know, right? Working across silos, right?
Mm,
Making sure that we continue to work across silos, and also
yeah.
we remove the idea of like gatekeeping. I think
Yeah.
a lot of gatekeeping in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Once we figure out how to navigate the system that we're trying to like break down and tear down, once we figure out how to navigate the system, we keep all those tools to ourselves. And it's like, no, I'm not going to tell you because I done figured it out. But now we're just as hurtful as the people who created the system in the first place because you're
Sure.
gatekeeping how you navigated the system. So I think
Yeah.
if we pass on those tools as well, like, hey, this is how I did it. Use this way to get through. We'll be better off. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. And I hope this conversation right here, right, is breaking down a silo already that is, that may have existed. Asia and then Shadae.
I didn't even know I was off mute. I was so interested. I'm
Me
like,
too. Me too. I'm dialed in.
listening. Okay. So then that because it's 7:34, I respect time. I want to answer the last question or ask the last question. Heather had a really good question in the chat. I think it was already answered, but I will raise it if there's anything we want to add. How do you provide support to those students who need additional supports in learning before they can move forward? So not just, supports in navigating some like different challenges, system challenges, economic challenges, but how do you all provide support to young people who need learning support before they can move forward to strengthen themselves academically? So is there anybody who wants to add anything about the academic supports that you provide? Great question, Heather. And shout out to our participants who have largely stayed with us throughout the conversation. Thank you. We're closing it down now. So how do you provide academic support so that young people can get through your programs?
I'll chime in really, really quickly. So we have, because we don't have SATs, right? And those things tell you where a student is coming in academically. So one thing that we did is we created a 6-week orientation boot camp, if you will, to learn who the student is academically, but also so they can also learn the program before they get into the program.
Okay.
Because that transition period can be kind of rough on students as well. And then also while they're in the program, that academic coach is not just a person that checks on you to say, hey, how you doing, right? They're literally following you throughout your program. They're also helping you understand and digest the work and helping you complete the work, not completing it for you now, because you got to get your degree on your own. But, right, they're helping you understand the work. And then what we've noticed is that when we've been able to do that, the students start on a bike with training wheels, and then we start to be able to take off the training wheels. So you see the progression in the student academically as they go throughout the program, and that's been helpful for us.
Thank you, Seema. Any other additions? Samantha, what is Braven doing to help students? I had to come to you next because
I was ready. I was ready.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but Braven is a 3-credit course. So just being a part of our program, you are earning credits. And I think it also just sends a message that just career readiness, career preparing, it's meaningful, right? It's a part of the course. It's not something extra you're doing outside of college. But then also 91% of our students are graduating on time. And so there is a connection between really understanding who you are, what you're studying, and what you want to do on the other side when you graduate that helps you get through that. And so we've seen it happen so many times where students have come back and just shared how just being a part of Braven or connecting with the other peers in their class or with their leadership coaches have really supported them. Oh, I see Valerie on the line. Sorry, one of our former students. But again, just really understanding just like the different people that they can connect to along the way before they graduate is just really powerful. And that's how Braven, one of the ways Braven supports our students academically.
Awesome. Thank you. And so my final question, because I feel like we need to lift this story up as well on this dynamic panel of fierce, committed leaders who, I mean, truly, I admire each and every single one of you. Watch you, am inspired by you, grateful to know you, grateful that you answer my calls, at this point, especially Aisha, because, she, it's a journey with SYEP, but y'all are there. Dr. DelaPaz has been ride or die with all kinds of initiatives that we wanted to do. Jennifer has been with me for a long time, growing great programs. And I know 21C is about to launch tutoring, which is an answer to that for Heather. The tutoring services are starting. And Jennifer, this whole time has been, when are we going to start tutoring? When are we going to start tutoring? So finally, we have that started. Just everybody here are true trailblazers, and your programs are dynamic. Now we have an administration that, in my opinion, sees the impact of all that we as a collective are doing and how it is changing outcomes in community and has a mission to tear that down. So I want to know from each of you, has your program in any way been impacted, or are there any concerns that you have related to the Trump administration? I'm going to start with Shadae.
All right, let me see if we can be quick. We are privately funded, so we are not necessarily impacted by his shenanigans at the moment. But the companies we work with many companies, EY and Franklin Mutual and RBC Capital Markets, and there's all these amazing corporations. And there has been some concern, especially in our New York partners, that they use All Stars as a DEI program in their organization. We are actually not a DEI program. That's not the trend we would use. We're more like belonging, but whatever, it doesn't matter. People tag us as DEI.
Okay.
And so
Mhm.
those organizations, some of them have been like, hey, we need to pause
Mhm.
our relationship until we figure out the correct verbiage, or we got to come back and revisit this next year when the government's off our neck, which is kind of, that has been disgusting, but
Mm.
I'll say less at the moment.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Shadae. Thank you for bringing light to that, and I think that's something that we all may see and experience. Dr. DelaPaz.
Well, you and I have been in this together from the beginning. So, as I mentioned earlier, we were one of 14 recipients nationwide to get the Perkins Innovation and Modernization Grant under President Biden. So, it was investing in career-connected high schools. We were very excited. It was a 3 to 5 year grant where we were supposed to get $1.4 million for each year. Shortly thereafter, we were notified that years 2 and 3 were cut significantly, and that we would only be receiving about $300,000 a year. But in true, fierce female fashion, we put our heads together. We're still going to do this. We're going to make our programs work for our students. I
That's
mean,
right.
to adjust to things. We're still able to hire our supervisor, Miss Ramos, who's been amazing. But we had grand plans of impacting 100 students, and immediately that needed to be cut in half. Since President Trump has taken office, our year 2 and 3 allocations that had been appropriated by Congress are just kind of floating out there with no real indication if we're getting that money or not. So here we are trying to plan for summer to provide paid work experiences for students. We're lucky that we are able to make things work whenever we can, but the reality is there's other institutions out there and some of our partners that need to dismantle this hard work that they've planned for the benefit of students. And ultimately, my hope is that the administration does recognize the impact that these programs have on workforce development, right? So if you really want to think about the impact on the economy, if we're not investing in our students and our future, that doesn't benefit anyone.
Sure.
The sad reality is that we've been told by our handler at the Department of Ed that they're scanning grant documents now. Any word that pops up related to diversity, equity, inclusion, even innovation. All right. We would never think that the word innovation or innovative would be a triggering word, but apparently it is. So in addition to the PIM grant, we get about $1 million a year to support all of our CTE programs at Essex Tech. And I know Newark Public System gets Perkins funds, all of our VOTECs and a lot of our comprehensive high schools around the country do. So it is a bipartisanly supported initiative, and I'm hopeful that, we will be funded, but we are kind of getting word that a lot of the pressure will be put on creating programs linked to apprenticeships and AI and advanced manufacturing. So it's just a big question mark. We're unsure if people will have jobs, if students will get the services that we've promised to them. But regardless, we're gonna continue forward. We might not be able to use certain key phrases in the grants we apply for, or report on these amazing impacts for students, especially our population who are economically disadvantaged, minority students. And that's who we're doing our programs for, right? That's the reality. So we might not be able to say certain words, but we're going to continue to do what we do, and that's do the best for our students.
That's right. We are unstoppable.
Yep.
Okay, unstoppable. And I'm gonna call on Jennifer next, just because I know her program is. These are the people I know have a story. So Jennifer.
Yeah, so as of Friday, the 21 Century Learning grant has also been an executive order to discontinue. So we are the state and others across the country are talking to their legislatures and folks in Congress to not support that. So yeah, we are also dealing with a lot of those cuts or
Yep.
potential cuts.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else before we go to our closing? All right. So go ahead. Somebody was
no,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Go,
say
go.
mine. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. I was just going to add, I mean, the Pell Grant situation, right?
Okay.
Trump did the whole
Wow.
spiel about him cutting Pell Grant, right?
Wow.
That severely scared our students. Obviously, the courts have stopped it, but it seems like what I'm hearing is that it still can be paused, maybe not completely stopped, but it still can be paused. So, we're just doing a lot of work there. AmeriCorps got funding cut. They're another program that also supports us. So
Wow.
we're seeing, but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to survive that. We have to survive that. So my message is that anyone on this call, corporate, foundations, folks with rich people, whatever, that we invest in the programs that are here because they are the game changers, so that they can survive anything that comes from the Trump administration to continue to move forward. Because we're definitely not going to give up. All right. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm so glad that you said yes. I couldn't believe that all of you said yes. It was an honor to be in community with you. And I want to have each of you leave us on a high note, because that's where we live and that's where we thrive. We're all high, positive people. And so what I want each of you to share as we close out is, let's say I'm not a corporation, I'm not a university, I'm not a organization. I am a person who is a part of the Newark ecosystem, and I want to be a part of youth workforce development. What can I do as a citizen to move the work forward? And I'm going to start with Shadae McDaniel of All Stars Project.
Get
What can I
involved.
do
Come
to move it
volunteer.
forward?
Come
Okay.
volunteer with us. Sign up with us. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell their son or daughter to get involved, or a family member to sign up for one of our programs. Our doors are open. And keep spreading the word about it. I hate that this is our best kept secret. I think
Sure.
everybody on this call, and there are more of us who are doing the damn thing. And unfortunately, there's so many more young people that we haven't reached. So please join us. And
Yes. There are many. Jasmine, Naima Ricks, Amanda
yes,
Eboskia, so many people who are doing EMS core is rocking, Tish, so many people that are invested in this work that we could talk to. David Flood, and we'll continue. Hopefully it's the first of many conversations. Kimberly, I'm a regular person. Well, not regular, we're all extraordinary, but I'm a citizen and I wanna get involved. What can I do?
I'm gonna speak to parents.
Okay.
So if you are a parent, most people are a parent, or if you're an auntie or a cousin, I think encouraging students as young as possible, seeking out information about programs and enrolling kids in programs as soon as possible so that they can get that guidance, get that structure. I think the biggest thing is there's always a disconnect. Kids do not, after a certain age, there's no checking of homework, checking the folder of what, opportunities. But I beg the kids this last couple of weeks, like, please bring these opportunity folders home, because even if it's not for you, share it with your parent. Your parent might get your job. They might need, Propel is open for any adult, Per Scholars is open to any adult as well. So just sharing information, I think. And so if you're an adult and if you're here listening, share the information that you heard tonight, whether it's with a child or with an adult that you know.
Thank you, Kimberly. Asia, what can I do?
I would definitely say just spread the word in reference to what we offer and not just SYEP.
Sure.
Letting people know that we have so many resources. We call it the one-stop shop for a reason. And being on this panel, I would definitely say, like, it was beautiful. This is my first one as a director. I haven't been in this position long, so I'm honored. And just it's all about word of mouth. And as long as we continue to do our job and making those kids feel welcome, I just want you all to really let them know how invested we are in you guys and your future. And the more you guys speak on what we do and not hold it to yourself, the more opportunities would be, for others. So,
Thank you. And there's much to learn about the Newark Youth Career One-Stop Center.
So much.
I'm blown away all the time about all that is offered there. We are not utilizing it to its fullest potential. So, I'm going to commit to learn more myself about what's there. Thank you, Aisha. Seima, What can I do?
Yeah, I would say same as Kimberly. I think every young person has a older person that they look up to. Maybe they may mentor them, whatever the case may be. We just had our freshman day and we had parents. This is the first time that we had parents come because they said, no, you're coming to this freshman day, right? We
Okay.
need more of that
Yeah.
activity. Pull
Yeah.
that young person and bring them down to Gateway U, 35 Tree Place, Newark, New Jersey, Rainbow Road. That's
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Like I would say, I think all of us have access to 2 or 3 young people that
Sure.
listen to us and are easily influenced by us. I think if we use our influence to push them to Gateway U, that'd be great.
For sure. And I tell you, if they go, they won't want to leave. Okay. I'm a testament to that. Thank you, Samantha.
Yeah, so 3 ways. One, if you know any students at Rutgers Newark, ask them if they've taken Braven. That's one. 2, volunteer. So there are so many different ways to get engaged. You could be a mock interviewer for one day. You could be a professional mentor for 12 weeks with us. You could be a leadership coach and work with that group of young, I keep saying young people, but we have so many non-traditional students at Rutgers Newark too. So just forgive me, it's my like teacher elementary school hat. But
Sure.
really just volunteering in whatever capacity you can to just push forward, give back. And then the third is if you hear of an opportunity, share it. Either share it with us, share it with someone you know, but we're always looking for internships, we're looking for opportunities, job opportunities. And so the more we know, the better we can then serve our students. I know I shared we had 500 students just this year, but we serve over 2,000 students collectively, right, over the years that are still looking right now for internships and jobs. So the more that we know,
Or
share.
you can connect them to Shadae. I love you. The whole webinar. Thank
Exactly.
you.
I'm like,
And
all the
Kath-
gems.
and Kathleen, what can we do?
Come visit us. I think you know, I mentioned earlier, people have an idea of what our VOTEC schools are, and maybe what people have a misconception about the students of Newark. Our students are amazing. They're driven, they're passionate, and we build good programs for our students. So if you have something that you think you could offer, if you just want to come check us out, I'd be happy to give a tour. Generally, when people come in, their minds are blown and they say, "Oh, I can offer this for that student," or I'd be happy to work with this teacher to do guest speaking arrangements or have you come to my facility to visit. So I'm welcome with open arms, anyone that would like to form a partnership and just continue to advocate for our students. They're worth it. They're amazing and they have a lot to contribute. So thank you, Kaleena.
Awesome. And on that note, we conclude Self-Determined, Community-Rooted, Career-Bound, the power and promise of youth workforce development in Newark. Thank you again to our panelists and to all of our attendees for your questions and your time. We will be sure to provide you with all the things that were discussed. Everybody have a good, beautiful night. And thank you, Israel, for your help behind the scenes. We appreciate you. All right.
Love you,
Everybody
Israel.
be safe. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us.
I'm gonna hawk every last one of y'all on this panel.